I changed Genasi lore for the better, meaning instead of just getting fire, water, earth, and air Genasi, you get a different Genasi for every plane of existence, and it actually makes sense. If you don't know by now, Genasi are elemental creatures created by exposure to elemental magic and most often the offspring of genies. But I am here to answer the question again, if Genasi or genies could be made from the exposure of the fire and water plane, what kind of Genasi would you get from heaven, hell, or everything in between? Luckily for you, we've already answered those questions in the previous episodes, but what we haven't talked about are the ones outside of everything else. Planes like the Far Realm, the Astral Sea, the Mirror Dimension, and the Plane of Dreams, and the Outlands, or even Demiplanes. How do wishes work in these planes of transition and madness? So let's answer that question. But first, to understand where we are coming from, here is a quick recap. I made a Genasi race for every plane of existence. Genies are created through the soul's exposure to the magics of a given plane. I surmised this was similar to how fossilization replaces bones with minerals. The soul is replaced with the magic of said plane. But just as the minerals hold the shape of the bone, the genie still holds the imprint of the soul and its desires. For a time, that leads them to kingdoms, money, and material things to try to feel fulfilled. But they become noble genies when they realize that they can only satisfy their needs of ambition through proxy, by fulfilling the wishes of men, those who still have souls. So a conglomerate of wishes started to form where all the noble genies teamed up and with their powers combined started fulfilling the wishes of men, even to create the gods that govern them, using vessels or lamps to safely cross outside of the plane that they were born in. Some of these wishes include offspring some humans couldn't have otherwise, birthing the Genasi race, who then in turn have their own souls, so can choose to help the conglomerate or simply go off to their own ambitions. Genies of the material planes set the rules, genies of the inner planes break the rules, and genies of the elemental planes provide the wishing building blocks. Check out the video on the inner planes for a more in-depth exploration of the lore and the planes of the shadow, fey, and ethereal, and then check out the video on the upper planes to learn how wishmakers work in the realms of good, and then the lower planes for wishes on the realms of evil. But I know getting the answers for the outer planes is just driving you mad, so let's start there. The Far Realm is probably the farthest plane in D&D cosmology, a parasitic plane to all of the other planes. In fact, all multiverses that includes the Far Realm is connected to the same Far Realm, filled with pseudo-natural creatures with gruesome depictions. It is a plane made of flesh that twists and bends in ways that are impossible for mortal to comprehend. Home to mind flayers, beholders, and eldritch evils, adventurers who travel here might find more eyes growing across their torso, and whose minds are subsequently overwhelmed and driven to insanity. When you think of this plane, you might think that it is the plane of nightmares. It is not, but merely the thing that subsequently becomes your nightmare. No, this is the plane of subjugation, releasing control, becoming part of a mental hive mind, and losing all sense of one's identity. Subsequently, souls who reach out to genies made in the Far Realm desire to release control on their own behalf and of the behalf of all other living things. They wish to be subjugated, shaped, changed, controlled by something that obviously comprehends much more than we do. Very bottom energy, if I say so. When the wizard goes mad and writes alien glyphs on the wall, they are being influenced or controlled. If you do want to play a wizard that plays with madness, you can find it in my Patreon shop. But that is why Genasi born from here are called flesh Genasi. Even in the Bible, it talks about being subject to our flesh. Unfortunately for the flesh Genasi, their appearance can be equally as gruesome as the plane itself. But being a parasitic plane, seek out a flesh genie to be a parasite and benefit from someone else's wish. The Plane of Dreams, as what it says on the box, a place where all sleeping minds go, a place of imagination, figments, and dreamed up creatures, a place you can jump from mind to mind and every dream is different. It is very difficult to travel to this plane, but souls can get stuck here by dying in their sleep. Now, you may have wondered why a mind genie wasn't born from the Far Realm, and simple answer, it fits better here. And now we have a Genasi for mind, body, and blood with the Abyss. Genies here work to make your dreams a reality, but sometimes they get it wrong and make your nightmares a reality as well, to grant you what you didn't wish for, mistaking it for desire. But that's how beholders birth new beholders, by dreaming up a new one. A mind genie does that, but most often they grant wishes for things that do not exist yet. Things that are new and dreamed up, invention, experimentation, and monstrosities. It is the plane of curiosity. The owl bear might have been a figment in here, before putting a bear and owl together out there. But like the color Genasi from the Feywild is made of light waves, and the sound Genasi of Arcadia is sound waves, the mind Genasi is made up of brain waves, and they help you make your dreams a reality. The Astral Sea is possibly the largest transitory plane, the outer space between everything, but less like our outer space and more like Treasure Planet outer space, home of spelljammers, giant space hamsters, and solar systems called wild spaces. Unfortunately, when it comes to a genie here, we can't look at the stars and decide a radiant genie, for those are in Mount Celestia. We can't look at the void of space and do a void genie, those are in the negative plane. So we are left with one thing, a gravity genie, and thus a gravity Genasi. More of a force than an element, but I still think it is evocative and tells the story of a certain kind of desire or wish. The fossilization process of this genie magnifies the soul's desire for the journey, to move on or to change from a different path that you are now on. They feel as if gravity itself is pulling them one direction or another. They may also say that their ambition is fate, which is why oracles often look to the stars in space to determine a path or prophecy. Who is to say that gravity genies don't manipulate the stars to help guide people to satisfying their desires? Travelers, space seafarers, fortune tellers, and treasure hunters are all drawn to realities other than what they are currently in. The mirror dimension is essentially a stretch of corridors lined with the backs of every mirror in existence. Also a transitive plane where you can step into one and out another across the world. Not much is known about the mirror dimension, but then again there isn't much to know, it's just mirrors. But to me, being a transitive plane, it is much like the Astral Sea. But instead of the desire to change your circumstances or life path, genies made from the plane of mirrors reflect the desire to change oneself, even to be the opposite or mirror image of who you are. Perhaps you wish for someone that is evil to be good again, and that fits here. Which is why mirror genies and Genasi are born here, or more commonly referred to as glass genies or Genasi. But what that also means is that sometimes communication can be skewed, and making a wish to a mirror genie will result in the opposite effect, your ambitions flipped or mirrored through the plane. Wishing for a spouse to a glass genie might warp the wish like light through glass, and they think you're wishing to not find a spouse. So better to make the wish while you're on the plane itself. The Outlands, or the Concordant Domain, is the plane that's smack dab in the middle of all the planes, like a spoke in a giant wheel. Even the capital city of Sigil is a very large ring floating on top of a giant spire. On the outskirts of the Outlands are other cities, each with a door to another plane of existence where the city itself is a spillover of that plane, and thus a place where both demon and angel interact. Again, a transitive plane, but here, a soul that fossilizes reflects the desires to be everywhere and everything. A person who has too many dreams at once, or quickly moves on to the next ambition, or one that wants to be a jack of all trades, or even a desire to have a direction or path when they feel that they have none. They just want something. They are similar to material plane genies who have access to many elements at once, like the Avatar. Though here, in the Outlands, they are more like stem cells, able to change and shift into whatever genie is needed. So technically, any type of genie can be born from the Outlands. For example, the conglomerate of wishes may need a metal genie to fulfill a wish, but since the ones that they had are too tied up in fulfilling other wishes, they call upon a flux genie to change into one. Once they are done, they change back and still help wishes that regard to their own flux genie nature. Genasi born from a flux genie aren't as transient, but still somewhat flexible when it comes to skill and the elements, but they are very recognizable with their stark white or pinkish complexions. While demiplanes are the spaces between all the other planes, they are a plane nonetheless. They are your bags of holding, your portable holes, your magnificent mansions, the literal spell demiplane, and to call upon another fandom, a TARDIS. They are usually very small and finite in size, but still a place where a soul could get stuck. In fact, it's some of the few that you can guarantee, trapping someone in a demiplane with no way out for eternity. But that's not all, for these genies are also created if a soul gets stuck in between two planes via a portal, not quite making it out the other side. Also could be forced by putting someone's head in a bag of holding, killing them, and then burying them undisturbed for 1,000 years. I don't make the rules. But if you remember me referencing wish recyclers in the first video of this series, these are them. Demiplane genies, or portal genies, either one, love to create portals and demiplanes and are the cleanup crew of all wishmakers. Leftover or wasted wishes are put within demiplanes and forgotten about, for safekeeping and all of that. But they also found a way to make wish batteries in the forms of domains of dread or domains of delight, known as pocket planes in the Shadowfell and Feywild respectively. Demiplanes where a single wish is so powerful, the conglomerate of wishes decided to bottle it up and sell it over and over and over again for their proxy fulfillment. That is why you can defeat Strahd over and over again and it all resets, thanks to a demiplane genie. Who's to say there aren't similar pockets on other planes, like the Minotaur's Labyrinth? Or maybe there was one powerful enough to have made all the other planes that gods live in. But another known fact was that the demiplane genie was the one that created the genie lamp itself. Normally, a water genie leaving its home plane of water could be deadly, but now they jump inside a pocket plane and then travel safely to any other plane they wish in the bag of some traveler. They have since expanded the vessels beyond just lamps, however. Lastly, the appearance of a demiplane genie is among the weirdest, since there really isn't any element that a demiplane embodies. So, they're usually an amalgamation of whatever matter consisted within it. A demiplane of books of a wizard library will create a genie entirely made of pages and leather. A demiplane of a house might sport a genie that is upholstered and patterned after your grandmother's couch that was left in there. The appearance of a Genasi born from these, however, will be a little bit more tamed, having just parchment-like or fabric-like skin, respectively. But is that everything? Did I miss any other planes? You will have to tell me in the comments below, or let me know of all the Planar Genasi, what kind of character you would bring to the table. Because just like the other videos, there is a playable Genasi race for every plane of existence we talked about today, available for free in the description below. If you support me on Patreon, you can get a prettified PDF version of all the information for your table, as well as a plethora of subclasses, monsters, races, and more, all for just $10, and you get everything. If Google Docs are fine for you, then you can easily get the rest from the other videos in the series, or if you like more lore explorations like this one, check out the weird alien and sci-fi origins of the Displacer Beast. Until then, go out there and make your worlds a better place. See ya.